Non-stop hip-hop and R&B. All around the globe. 24/7. The Juice. 1073.com.
Joining us right now, as promised, Senator Joe Biden. Hello, Senator.
Hey, Charlie. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no.
Hello. Good morning.
Hey, Tish. How are you?
Great.
This is absolutely a pleasure for us, just so you know.
Yes.
Well, it's my pleasure. I understand. I hear nothing but good things about your show.
I got to start paying people off better.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know. You got my staff convinced.
Well, Senator, first of all, thank you for coming through Ohio again this morning. We really appreciate it.
Oh, look, Ohio's critical. We've got to do well here, and we really think that Barack's message is one that's going to, benefit all Iowans. We're going to provide jobs. We're going to, make sure people have a decent education and access to it and health care. So I think that's what this is about. Basically, kitchen table issues and fairness.
Speaking of issues, personally for you, what do you think is like the most important issue for you personally as a candidate, and which issue, maybe even the same one, keeps coming up the most?
Well, the two issues that are most important to me are the ones that actually keep coming up. One is the war in Iraq and ending that war in Iraq, and not only in terms of the personal carnage that's going on. And, we're not a nation at war. We're an army at war, and only a few families are bearing the brunt of this. But we're draining the American taxpayer when there's no need to. Barack has been dead right on this. Even President Bush has finally agreed that we need to set a timetable to draw down our forces. So that's a giant issue brought up everywhere, but deep in my craw. And the second one is just the whole issue of basic fairness to people in the middle class, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, who are just getting walloped. They're getting walloped, and the programs that are the whole attitude of this administration about the middle class is just absolutely, bothersome me. It makes me a little bit angry. Somebody handed me a bumper sticker today at the event we had. They had made up, and it said, "End the middle class. Vote Republican."
Wow.
Whoa.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, wow.
I mean, do you think even possibly that the next president can get us out of this financial mess in one time?
Absolutely. Look, think about this. The whole thing comes down to making sure that we end this excess that, and he's my friend, John McCain and George Bush have been so proudly touting, the ending regulation. Well, look what happened when we ended, quote, regulation. Look what happened to a lot of people in my neighborhood and your neighborhood who went out there and you got sucked into these subprime mortgages, and then to find out they're getting kicked out of their house. Look what happened to what we're doing here with jobs in my state of Delaware, your state of Ohio. They're being shipped overseas, and we're paying them to go overseas. I just think this is pretty common sense stuff. Give me two examples and stop. One, Barack and I think the way to rebuild this country is literally rebuild the country. We want to spend money on hiring people to rebuild our sewer systems, our highways, our airports, our infrastructure. You watch the Olympics in China, allegedly a third world country. You saw they had a medlev train that went 230 miles an hour without any pollution, bringing people into their inner cities.
Right.
What are we doing in America? And we will create 2 million new jobs that average $50,000 a year just by investing in America. The second thing we're going to do is, why is it we're not making in Toledo, for example, the new solar panels that could heat and cool the entire country, the United States of America? We can create 5 million new green jobs. We're not making this up. These are studies that have been done by universities and others. If we invest in wind and solar and biofuels, alternative energies, not only free ourselves from the grip of these oligarchs of oil, but we can actually create decent paying jobs that are not exported. And there's a few things we can stop doing, Charlie. We're spending $20 billion a year to give people a tax break. It's called deferred profit and deferred income if they take their business overseas. So they go overseas and you build a plant over there and you make a lot of money. You don't have to pay taxes on it until you bring it home. And you don't have to bring it home. You can reinvest it and not pay anything on it.
Exactly.
Whereas, in fact, we should be spending that $20 billion to give people tax breaks to stay and build the companies here. I mean, some of this is just pretty common sense stuff.
So do you think the government should bail out these failing banks and everything, and the insurance companies?
No. Here's what I think you should do. The government should put back in place what Barack and Barack was way ahead of the curve on this. Barack called the Secretary of the Treasury and called the Chairman of the Federal Reserve back in 2007, early 2007, and said, look, we got to do something about this subprime problem. This is going to be gigantic. No one did anything. It's like all of a sudden we woke up and say, oh, my goodness, what happened here?
Right.
And so we have to put back in place some common sense regulations. I'll give you an example. Right now in the state, when these guys came to office, the Attorney General of the state of Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, Delaware, they were able to sue a big bank, a national bank, if they defrauded their consumers. Guess what? Literally, the federal government took away the power of the Attorney General of the state of Ohio to be able to go after a national bank for fraud.
Wow.
And that was done in the name of commerce. Look what's happened. Imagine had the attorneys general, 50 of them, had been the watchdogs that they want to be. I doubt whether we would have gotten where we are, or at least not as far as we got. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is a fundamental disagreement in philosophy here as to what is the role of government. And the first role of government is do no harm. And this last 8 years, and then, don't you find it amazing, Trish, that all of a sudden nobody was responsible?
Exactly.
I mean, like the last 8 years, oh my goodness, who's responsible? I mean, come on. If you guys did that at your station, you'd be off the air.
Exactly.
We have
in
been.
a minute. Yeah.
Senator, I know you have a very short schedule, so you have to get out of here. I want to say one thing. I know that first of all, when's the first vice presidential debate?
October the 2nd is the first vice presidential debate and the only vice presidential debate.
Oh, okay. You know what? And I'm telling you, and this is the one thing I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that you're getting set up for a no-win situation.
Well, I think that's true. All of a sudden, I turn on the national news, and the last month, I'm the best debater in America. I can defeat anyone.
Right.
No one can stay with Joe Biden. I am very flattered. I think I'm doing great.
I've been worried about that.
And there's this poor person, the governor from the state of Alaska, who, is just trying to struggle along and so on. Look, man, where I come from, I call that a setup.
Exactly.
That's what I'm glad you see it too. Well, everybody's going to register here in Ohio to vote. We had President Clinton on the show a little while ago, and he was talking about the importance of everyone registering and going out and vote. I'll give you this last few seconds to go ahead and stress that registration and voter duty that all Americans have.
Not only register, beginning, as you know, on September the 30th, you're able to actually vote in Ohio.
Right.
So there's no excuse that you couldn't get off on Election Day between the hours of 8 and 8 at night, or whatever the time the polls are open here. Every state is different. Get out and vote now. Vote now. Because when you vote, anybody listening, when you vote, guess what? It's more likely your brother, sister, mother, father, uncle, aunt, that they'll go vote. And look, this is the single most important election, Charlie, anyone listening to this program will ever have voted on.
Right.
And you have a chance to decide this. We've got to take back our country.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, Senator Joe Biden, I wish you well, and hopefully you don't fall for the setup.
I don't think I can control it much. Hopefully I don't trip when I walk out on stage.
As long as you don't trip, you're going to be perfectly fine.
And make sure, yeah. And we really appreciate you two definitely taking the time out to give us a call and talk to us this morning.
It's a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Senator Joe Biden right there, Juice FM 107.3.
More than just a radio station.
You get a mixture of everything.
We're Toledo's entertainment giant, the Juice FM 107.3.